Caitlyn Clark, as you know, has missed the last 19 games with a groin injury, confirming that she will not play again this season.
I mean, this is better than I could have ever imagined. It's a small town kid with really big dreams. Dreams do come true if you work hard and you have great faith in your life.
Everything changes once a player starts getting the Caitlyn Clark treatment. The days of playing freely without constant defensive attention are over. The WNBA has been desperately trying to find the next Caitlyn Clark, and that whole effort just fell apart on national TV. But here's what everyone's talking about. Can Paige actually handle the same pressure that Clark faces every single night? And after this embarrassing performance, where she got exposed entirely, is she really anywhere close to Caitlyn's level? Join us as we break down exactly why PAIGE Bueckers had a complete meltdown on national TV. Clark treatment reality check. The WNBA had been pushing hard to find its next Caitlyn Clark.
This week on 60 Minutes, we reported on the WNBA, and we interviewed Caitlyn Clark.
But that whole plan just blew up, and all the hype cracked under pressure when people actually saw what was happening. PAIGE Bueckers got built up as the next big thing. Then she faced the Seattle Storm's defense, and reality hit hard. Seattle came prepared with actual defensive schemes, and Bueckers couldn't handle it, which showed everyone watching that there's a massive difference between getting hyped up by sports media and actually performing when teams start game planning, specifically to stop someone. This was the first time fans actually saw Bueckers face under real defensive pressure. Seattle didn't just put a body on her, they did their homework and targeted exactly where she struggles most. Meanwhile, the media had been pushing this narrative hard that Bueckers wasn't just the next Clark, but actually better than her, with more polished skills and pro-ready fundamentals. ESPN was leading the charge on this whole storyline. They kept talking about how she was more fundamentally sound and ready for the league than Clark ever was. But when a team finally decided to game plan specifically for her and bring that elite-level defensive intensity, all those supposed advantages disappeared pretty quickly. The timing wasn't random either. This whole push happened right when Clark was still finding her footing in the pros, like they couldn't wait to crown someone new before giving Clark a chance to establish herself. Sure, Bueckers dropped 44 points the game before, and that's impressive. But one explosive night doesn't answer the fundamental questions about how she handles elite-level defense when teams are specifically game planning to stop her. Those big scoring numbers look great on paper, but they don't tell the whole story. Can she do it consistently when every opponent has studied her tendencies? What happens when the defensive pressure ramps up night after night? Bueckers' hype train derailed. The media went absolutely crazy when Bueckers hit 200 points and 50 assists faster than anyone else.
He is the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 200 points and 50 assists,
beating Clark's pace by just one game. Suddenly, every analyst was losing their minds over this stat, like it proved everything they'd been saying. ESPN and all the major networks jumped on this number because, finally, they had something concrete to point to. But Diana Taurasi tried to warn everyone. She basically said the player was headed for trouble, playing on the wrong team without the right skills for how physical this league gets. Did anyone listen? Nope. They were too busy hyping up those early numbers and acting like Bueckers was already the second coming of basketball greatness. The networks were selling this narrative hard, pushing tickets on a hype train that veteran players could see was headed for a crash. Taurasi knew what was coming, but everyone was too caught up in the excitement to pay attention. However, when Bueckers strolled into Seattle expecting another coronation parade, the Storm had different plans that involved traps, contests, and unrelenting physicality rather than red carpet treatment. Coach Noelle Quinn essentially issued a direct challenge before the game, wondering aloud whether this supposed princess could handle the same defensive intensity that Caitlyn Clark faces nightly. Seattle did not mess around. They completely shut down Bueckers, 2 for 11 shooting, 0 assists, just 2 rebounds. It wasn't even basketball at that point. It was a clinic on how to dismantle someone's entire game. Coach Quinn broke it down after the game too, talking about how they got physical, rotated aggressively, and threw multiple defenders at her until she couldn't even run basic plays like ball screens. That's the scary part. She got so flustered she couldn't handle the most fundamental stuff. When a team decides to really focus on stopping someone, and they've got the personnel to do it, that's when the real players separate themselves from the hype. Sometimes reality checks hit hard, and this was one of those moments where all the manufactured excitement got exposed for what it really was. So what exactly did the media hype show the world, and did Paige recover from it? Clark treatment exposes truth. The difference is night and day when comparing how these two players are treated. Bueckers crumbled after one game of serious defense, but Clark? She's been dealing with this issue for over a year straight.
Clark, she is the greatest scorer has ever seen.
The teams did not defend Clark. They actively try to hurt her. It's gotten so bad that even veteran players are starting to notice how targeted the hits have become. Clark changed everything when she entered the league. She didn't just show up and play well. She forced everyone to pay attention to women's basketball, whether they wanted to or not. And what did she get for it? Teams started going after her with cheap shots and dirty plays. It's like they decided if they couldn't stop her basketball-wise, they would try to intimidate her physically. Meanwhile, Bueckers was getting treated with kid gloves until Seattle agreed to turn up the heat for one night. One night of absolute pressure, and she had a complete meltdown. Clark's been facing that same intensity, actually worse, every single game, and she's still putting up numbers that break records. That's the difference between someone who's built for this level and someone who got hyped up before they were ready. The numbers tell the whole story about how Clark's been getting targeted. She took 17% of all flagrant fouls in 2024.
17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season.
That's wild when there are dozens of players in the league. This isn't basketball anymore. It is open season on one person. While all this was happening to Clark, Bueckers was cruising through games like she was back in college. Nobody was hitting her with hard fouls or trying to rattle her. The league and media were basically protecting her because they needed their golden girl narrative to work. When Seattle finally decided to treat Bueckers like the superstar she had been hyped to become, applying the same relentless defensive pressure that Clark faces nightly, the results were immediate and devastating. The moment she encountered double teams and aggressive defensive schemes, Bueckers simply passed the ball away and disappeared from offensive involvement, managing only 7 shot attempts before being substituted out of a game that had effectively ended due to her inability to handle elite-level pressure. Her shooting performance collapsed from the impressive 47.4%. That reality check exposed what happens when hype meets actual defensive game planning. But what does it mean when a player can only perform when teams aren't really trying to stop them? Bueckers chasing individual glory. In the closing moments of the Golden State Valkyries' latest game, Paige Bueckers found herself locked down on the perimeter by Veronica Burton and Kayla Charles with just 3.2 seconds remaining. No shot attempt and no space. The buzzer sounded, and the game ended with Golden State up by 9. But the focus wasn't on the scoreboard. The Valkyries were locked in on stopping Bueckers from hitting double digits, aiming to end her streak of scoring at least 10 points in every game of her rookie season. Teams have been keying in on Bueckers all season, and it makes sense when looking at what Dallas has been dealing with. The Wings got hit hard by injuries. 8 out of 12 players from their opening night roster have missed at least 7 games. That's basically their entire rotation getting shuffled constantly. All those injuries meant Bueckers had to carry way more of the scoring load than most rookies ever see. But here's the thing, she's actually handled it well. She's gotten good at breaking down one-on-one coverage, and now teams are throwing the same defensive looks at her that they usually save for veteran all-stars. Coach Kaklanis keeps talking about how she doesn't get rattled when teams amp up the pressure.
These women are incredible, what they can do on and off the floor. So I remind myself that every day.
Most rookies speed up their game when defenses get aggressive, but Bueckers seems to stick to her own rhythm no matter what's happening around her. That's not something most first-year players can pull off, especially when they're dealing with a different lineup every night because half the team is injured. With Dallas eliminated from playoff contention months ago and essentially playing out a lost season focused on development rather than victories, Bueckers finds herself in the unusual position of chasing individual milestones instead of team success. The numbers back up her impressive rookie campaign, as Bueckers has led all first-year players in scoring every single month of the 2025 season while averaging 18.9 points per game, which currently ranks 7th among all rookies in WNBA history. With only 3 games remaining on the schedule, she has a legitimate opportunity to surpass her own teammate, Arike Ogunbowale, who sits in 6th place at 19.1 points per game, if she can maintain her recent scoring surge through the season's final stretch. The consistency has been there all year, but breaking into the top 6 would cement her place among the best rookie seasons ever. Can she close out strong enough to climb that final spot in the record books? Bueckers versus Clark comparison. Bueckers brought that same efficient scoring from her UConn championship run straight to the pros, and honestly the numbers show it's working. She's putting up solid points while shooting a respectable 46.7% from the field. When looking at rookies who average at least 17 points per game, she's sitting at 6th in field goal percentage, which is pretty good company. The only guards ahead of her are Chennedy Carter and Cynthia Cooper-Dyke, but both have significant advantages. Carter got to play her rookie year in that bubble setup, where offense was way easier across the board. Cooper-Dyke was 34 when she entered the league back in its first season, so she had years of experience that most rookies don't have. What makes Bueckers' efficiency stand out is her age. Most 22-year-old rookies struggle to maintain good shooting percentages while taking on a heavy scoring load. The fact that she's doing both shows that she has adapted to the professional level faster than most players her age typically do. Beyond her scoring prowess, Bueckers has established herself as an elite playmaker.
I worked extremely hard and I was super dedicated and I had great faith and I just dreamed big, and I think the higher you set your goal.
Who's on track to join an exclusive group of just 12 rookies in league history to average 5 assists per game. But scoring and passing at high levels are 2 different skills that don't always go hand in hand for young players. So the real question becomes, can she maintain both at the elite level needed to join a truly exclusive company? Clark Bueckers' elite company. Even more impressive is that she's positioned to become only the 2nd player ever to combine that assist average with 15 points per game, joining Indiana Fever star Caitlyn Clark in this rare achievement.
Closed out her career as the NCAA tournament's all-time leading scorer. Caitlyn.
Her ability to create opportunities for teammates while shouldering a heavy scoring load demonstrates the kind of two-way impact that separates promising rookies from potentially great ones. The natural comparison point for Bueckers has become Clark, whose historic 2024 rookie season set new standards for what first-year guards can accomplish in professional basketball. While legendary players like Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi were also first-year All-Stars, neither displayed the same combination of elite scoring and playmaking that both Clark and Bueckers have brought to the table during their debut seasons. This new generation benefits from playing in a more offense-oriented league, but their production levels still stand out significantly when measured against their peers and historical context. Both of these top draft picks have had those breakout games that people will talk about for years. Bueckers tied the rookie scoring record when she dropped 44 points against the Sparks, and that makes it even more impressive when considering who she was playing with that night. Half her teammates were guys Dallas had to sign mid-season, just because so many players were injured. That's the kind of performance that shows what she can do when everything clicks. Carrying a team full of replacement players and still putting up historic numbers isn't something most rookies can pull off, even the highly drafted ones. Clark previously set the single-game assist record with 19 helpers during her remarkable rookie campaign. However, when comparing their overall statistical output, Clark holds advantages in most significant categories, including points at 19.2 versus 18.9, rebounds at 5.7 compared to 3.7, and assists, where her 8.4 average significantly outpaces Bueckers' 5.3, though Bueckers does maintain better ball security with 2.1 turnovers per game compared to Clark's 2.8. While Clark's numbers show clear dominance in most areas, both players built their professional success on strong college foundations. But how did Bueckers' college career at UConn shape her into the player she became in the pros? PAIGE Bueckers Championship Journey. Paige Madison Bueckers was born on October 20th, 2001, and has become one of the most recognizable names in women's basketball as a professional player for the Dallas Wings in the WNBA. Her college career at the University of Connecticut established her as a dominant force in women's basketball, where she guided the Huskies to an impressive collection of achievements, including 4 Big East tournament victories, 4 Final Four appearances, and ultimately a national championship title. The nickname PAIGE Buckets became synonymous with her scoring ability and clutch performances throughout her collegiate and professional career. Her high school career at Hopkins High School in Minnetonka, Minnesota, set the stage for her future success, as she earned recognition as the top recruit in her class according to ESPN rankings and received National High School Player of the Year honors. During her freshman season at UConn, Bueckers made history by becoming the first freshman ever to earn National Women's Player of the Year recognition while helping her team advance to the Final Four. Her consistency and excellence throughout her college years earned her 3 unanimous first-team All-American selections, and she finished her UCTONN career with the highest scoring average in school history at 19.9 points per game. These achievements solidified her status as one of the greatest players in the program's storied history, positioning her perfectly for professional success. What do you think about the way the media rushed to anoint PAIGE Bueckers as the next Caitlyn Clark? And is it fair to compare rookie seasons while the other gets protective treatment? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen.